Welcome back to TTS Daily with me, Yi. First story, trigger warning, okay? This is quite controversial. So, a 7-month pregnant wife in Thailand discovered her husband's affair and followed him to a resort. She then confronted and brutally assaulted the mistress, resulting in the victim being unalive. This incident occurred at 7:10 a.m. on Sunday, April 20th, 2025 at a resort, and video evidence shows the mistress lying unconscious on the ground post-assault. The wife and another woman dragged the victim's unconscious body into a room. The husband then carried the unconscious mistress onto his motorcycle to a nearby hospital. The mistress was pronounced deceased at the hospital. The police then found the distraught wife at the resort and took her in for questioning. The wife now faces charges for assault resulting in death. The husband and mistress arrived at the resort the night before, and the wife confronted them the next morning. The mistress had been seeing the husband for about a week, believing he was separated from his wife. The mistress previously had received a threatening message from the wife to stay away from her husband and confronted the husband, and he reassured the mistress that he was separated. The victim's friend was shocked by the brutal violence, and the victim's mother expressed grief over her daughter's sudden death and shocked that no one, including the husband, intervened. The victim has a 1-year-old child. Be careful of the friends you make online. A 21-year-old man was lured to a woman's apartment in Bahru, Johor, Bahru, and was ambushed by 7 men on 18 April at 9:30 p.m. The assault was recorded, went viral online, and prompted a police investigation. The victim was invited by a female TT friend named Bella, whom he met on social media. Bella offered to pay for his motorcycle gas to convince him to visit, claiming she wanted company. 7 men ambushed the victim upon arrival, physically assaulting him with repeated blows, including to the private area. The attackers then demanded ringgit $3,000, which is about 890 Singapore dollars. But the victim said he only had ringgit $600, about 180 Singapore dollars. They took it and also stole his motorcycle. The victim sustained bruises to his body, lips, and left ear. The victim then filed a police report and shared his story on social media. All 8 individuals involved, the woman and 7 men, were arrested. 5 suspects have prior criminal records and 4 tested positive for substance abuse. Suspects are in custody for further investigations. Once again, be careful of the friends that you make online. Just a quick update locally, I have been affected by inflation too, but it's the inflation in the prices of Netflix Singapore. So Netflix Singapore just raised subscription prices by 2 to 4 Singapore dollars per month depending on your subscription plans. Basic plans went up by $2 from 13.98 to 15.98 SGD. Standard plans went up from 19.98 to 22.98 SGD. And premium went up from 25.98 to 29.98. An increase of 4 Singapore dollars per month. Comparison-wise, the last price increase was in February 2024, where basic went up by $1, standard went up by $2.50, and premium went up by $4. The original prices, if you were to compare on January 16, basic was 10.98, standard was 13.98, premium was 16.98, and now you actually have to pay 29.98 for premium. Wow. Historically wise, prices have increased 4 times for Netflix Singapore: January 2020, October 2021, February 2024, and April 2025, just a few days ago. I have already cancelled my Disney Plus subscription because it's just costly to, keep paying monthly subscription if you're not consuming much. And Netflix, I'm also not exactly consuming much, so I'm also considering, is there any alternatives for us to watch besides, carrying on this Netflix sub? Because, a lady in Singapore, let's call her Madam Y, 59 years old, have just been fined 4,800 Singapore dollars on April 21st, 2025 for illegally feeding pigeons. Yes. Did you know that feeding wildlife, including birds, is prohibited under Singapore's Wildlife Act with fines up to Singapore $10,000? So Madam Y faced 18 counts of feeding wild animals since 2016, pleaded guilty to 4 counts with others considered during sentencing. She was fined 3 times previously for similar offences. She was caught by NParks and Tanjong Pagar Town Council pouring mung beans into a planter, attracting over 50 pigeons, and CCTV showed her with a cooler bag of bread and mung beans. Community complaints led to this enforcement action, A woman likely to be also Madam Y was filmed feeding birds daily in Bukit Merah in early 2024 and was warned by a resident who threatened to report her to NEA. Tanjung Pagar Town Council engaged with Madam Y and noted persistent feeding despite NParks enforcement and committed to further resolution efforts. We can see that Madam Y is very passionate about helping the pigeon, so maybe is it possible that she could consider doing some volunteer work with Bird Paradise instead, for the same cause? And for our last story of the day, trigger warning, okay? This involved a preschool. So a 29-year-old preschool teacher, Chinese national, was sentenced to 2 weeks jail for knowingly permitting Lee the ill treatment of a 2-year-old girl. The teacher pleaded guilty to 1 count of failing to intervene while her colleague abused the child. The incident happened on June 27, 2022 and captured on CCTV over a 10-minute period. Okay, the colleague, a 30-year-old Singaporean, faces 6 charges with case pending, trapped the victim under a table against a wall and repeatedly hit the child's head with a plastic divider. The actions included shoving the table against the child's torso, scolding her while she cried and striking her head multiple times. The accused observed the abuse but did not intervene, nor check on the victim's well-being, nor stop her colleague. The accused and the colleague were jointly responsible for the playgroup class, and she alerted her colleague to the victim's movements when the victim tried to get out of being trapped by the table, which prompted further actions from her colleague, but the accused took no protective actions towards the victim. District Judge emphasized the accused's failure to fulfill her duty to protect the vulnerable child, noting her passive observation of dangerous acts. The victim's mother noticed bruises on her daughter's face and inquired via an online platform and received no reply. The next day, the parents questioned the accused, who said she would check with other teachers. The accused then informed a senior teacher, suspecting her colleague caused the bruises, leading to the principal being notified. The colleague falsely claimed nothing happened via the online platform. The accused later told the principal that her colleague might have struck the child, prompting a CCTV review. Internal investigations by the school led to a police report. The accused was suspended until July 27, 2022, then redeployed to an administrative role. The colleague's case is scheduled for a hearing on May 5th. Once again, the accused had a duty to intervene at the moment when her colleague was ill-treating the child, the victim, but she didn't. And she only brought up the matter when parents asked the accused about the bruises on the victim's face.